Home and Away Spoilers Bree threatens to break up with Remi. Next week on Home and Away in the UK, Bree reacts badly when Remi challenges her on her behaviour, as she tells him she's only willing to do things on her terms. This week, as Bree faced her tribunal hearing after Levi reported her for hesitating while treating Alf, Bree turned the tables on her colleague. She threw Levi under the bus as she faced the tribunal board, insisting that she was simply checking Alf's bloods to ensure he was being given the correct medication. When Levi swept in and took over, "He's an egotist who muscles in on everything and everyone," she explained, and didn't back down when the board member Giselle reminded her that she was making some very serious allegations. Levi then faced being hauled in front of the tribunal himself, and barged around to the Lyric House to confront Bree. He made it clear that the choices he made that day saved Alf's life. But Bree continued to claim that he was the one in the wrong, assuring him that she had everything under control until he interfered and undermined her. In this week's final episode, Remi turns on his girlfriend, telling her that she's deflecting, and asks her to think about what would have happened to Alf if he'd not stepped in. She still refuses to listen, and storms off, after making it clear that things are not okay between them. As Remi catches up with Bree in the parkland, Bree tells him that she expected the support of someone who claims to love her. Her words push Remi to breaking point, as he declares, "Bree, I have always had your back. But not on this. What you did today was wrong." The following morning, Bree summons Remi back to the parkland, and she appears to have taken his words on board as she claims that she doesn't recognize herself, and hasn't for a while. Appearing sincere, she explains that she plans to make things right with the tribunal and clear Levi's name, and will take responsibility for her mistakes. In the final moments of this week, Bree comes out of the tribunal office and explains to Remi and Levi that she's rescinded all of her accusations, before apologizing to Levi for putting him in such a difficult position. When Remi asks what this means for her, she tells him that she's on leave as of today. Remi assumes that the board asked her to take some time off, but Bree smiles and clarifies that she's chosen to take leave, because they can't suspend me if I'm not here. Remi is furious, believing that Bree is simply trying to avoid the issue, and asks how things are ever going to change if she doesn't take responsibility for what happened. Returning to the action next Monday, Bree pours herself a large glass of wine on the first day of her holiday, as Remi continues to be frustrated by her blasé attitude. Bree can't understand the problem. She's apologized to Alf and retracted her claims about Levi. What more does he want? Remi tells her to stop dodging the issue. Things aren't sorted before storming out. When he returns, he apologizes for snapping at her, but reinforces the point that things aren't fine. When he challenges her to own her mistakes and fix things, a frustrated Bree heads out the door, telling him, "I'm fixing it." She heads straight to the diner, where she invites Marilyn to join her at Salt, seemingly planning an apology. Meanwhile, Theo turns up at the Lyric House, where he finds a very stressed out Remi. Seeing he needs to unwind, he invites him for a drink at Salt. Also at the restaurant are Mackenzie and Levi, and when Levi sees Bree and Maz enter, he comments to Mac that hopefully the incident with the tribunal acted as a wake-up call for Bree. As they sit down, Bree explains to Maz that emergency doctors are under constant pressure, but that their priority is always their patients. She tells Maz that she, Levi and the rest of the team did everything they could for Alf, but that they had it under control. "No, you didn't have it under control," Maz retorts. "You walked out on him when he needed you the most. Stop saying sorry when you're not sorry," Maz continues, "and stop acting like I am overreacting to the situation, because I am not. That man nearly died because of you." Bree has a hard time holding back her frustration, as she asks Maz if that's her professional opinion, or just what the tarot cards told you. Maz storms out, and comes face to face with Remi and Theo as they head towards the surf club. Seeing how flustered she is, Theo asks if she's okay. "I'm not okay," Maz explains, turning to look at Remi. She explains that Bree didn't apologize, and instead lied, belittled her, and carried on as if she was overreacting. Bree admits that she's had a horrible week, but tells him that she wants to just put it all behind her, and was hoping that he'd be willing to do the same. "We were good friends once, Levi, and I'd love to get back to that," she adds. Bree once again seems sincere, as she tells Levi that she needs to know they can get past this. Levi agrees and tells her that they're good, just as Remi walks through the door. Back upstairs, Bree moves on to Levi, telling him she wants to check in and see if things are okay between them. Levi tells her that he's glad she withdrew the complaint, but that they still need to address what's happening. Before Bree clocks his arrival, she thanks Levi, and asks him if he can tell Remi that they've had this conversation. He just needs to know that everything's sorted so we can move on. Suddenly, it becomes clear that Bree's apology tour wasn't sincere after all, but simply an attempt to convince Remi that she was doing the right thing. After giving Bree the silent treatment during an awkward walk back to the share house, Remi asks Bree whether giving Marilyn a hard time is her definition of fixing things. "Nothing I ever do is good enough for you, is it?" Bree asks, shutting the conversation down and heading to the kitchen. Not willing to let it drop, Remi tells Bree that they need to reconsider her counseling, as he offers to go with her and explain to the counselor what she's been going through. Bree takes his offer badly, accusing him of not trusting her. When Remi confirms that no, he doesn't trust her, as she already lied once about seeing her counselor, Bree snaps. "You know what, Remi, if I am such a problem, then maybe we shouldn't be together," she exclaims, before walking out. The following morning, Bree does her best to ignore Remi as she heads for a surf. Later, she enjoys a relaxed breakfast with flatmates Rose and Xander, making it very clear to them just how glad she is to be on holiday. Xander challenges her on why she isn't hanging out with her boyfriend, and Bree nervously lines up the cutlery on the table as she explains that Remi needs to lighten up. Back at home, Remi begins searching for obsessive, fixated paranoid on Summer Bay's favorite search engine, My Search, and it immediately gives him a diagnosis: a paranoid psychosis. At that moment, Bree walks in, and as she clocks what's going on, she can't believe that her boyfriend is trying to diagnose her. Remi explains that he was simply trying to understand, but Bree coldly tells him, "Maybe you should study medicine for 10 years before you do that. The fact that you're assuming this search is about you has to say something." Remi retorts, asking her if any of the words on the screen sound familiar. Having read through the symptoms of paranoid psychosis, Bree eventually admits that a lot of it sounds like her: the checking, the rechecking, doubt, paranoia, and the feeling that she's always left something out. It's exhausting, Bree admits, reassured that he's finally gotten through to her. Remi tells her that now they know what she might be suffering with, they can get a proper diagnosis. However, Bree has no such plan. "No, we cannot tell anyone," Bree insists. "It's non-negotiable, I mean it. No one wants a doctor who isn't well themselves. I will do the work, but you have to let me do it in my own way." Will Bree accept Remi's help, or continue to put her patients in danger as she refuses to seek professional help?